It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, and it's also the 19th day in the month of August 2025. And a very welcome to another interesting edition of VOP this morning. I am Fina Chuku, and within the next 2 hours, we have quite an interesting lineup for our listening pleasure today. And one of the topic of conversation is that 5 million poor Nigerians are set to get, cash transfers from the presidency. Also on our radar today, Falano to APC and PDP, defend yourselves. Prove it legally that you are not a terrorist group. And this actually came after a court in Canada says that APC and PDP happens to be a terrorist organization.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I am Chukwuma Okoro. Away from those two topics, 2027 power game, together stronger, that is coming from Atiku Obi Amechi, as they plot a new alliance without tickets as APC mocks opposition.
And yes, of course, those are the conversations on our table this morning. We'd like for you to come along with us as we dissect these conversations and help you understand them better. Well, there are other things that Nigerians are talking about, so let's dive into those other conversations. I am Moses Humphrey. Now, the first is that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has officially kicked off the first phase of its 2025-2026 continuous voter registration exercise by launching online pre-registration via the portal cvr.inecnigeria.org on August 18, which was yesterday, 2025. Nigerians aged 18 and above, including first-time voters, can now submit their personal details such as name, date of birth, residential address, and book an in-person, you have to book an in-person registration slot, which begins August 25. That will be sometime next week, yes, at all 37 state offices and 774 local government areas nationwide. Now, the CVR process also caters to existing voters. You can transfer your registration to a different polling unit, replace lost or damaged permanent voter cards, or update personal information if needed. Now, INEC reported over 26,000 visits to the portal within hours of the launch, signaling strong public interest. Now, this exercise marks a pivotal opportunity for Nigerians, especially the youth, to seize their civic rights and shape the future of the 2027 elections by, of course, voting in 2027 elections. Now, it's not just about indicating interest, because we saw that drive prior to 2023 elections. Nigerians were eager to get their PVCs. But if you look at the what Nigerians have been talking about on the streets and what we saw during the recently conducted by-elections, there seemed to be some sort of voter apathy in most places. Nigerians have lost interest. I think the politicians should do more in trying to canvass, in trying to encourage Nigerians, I beg your pardon, to get their PVCs and come out to vote. Some people get PVCs because they needed to do bank transactions and things like that. But it's not just for such transactions, it's that you can do your civic responsibility of voting. So politicians, I think Peter Obi in a statement somewhere, did say that, look, Nigerians should endeavor to come out and vote in elections, as that is the only way to ensure that the few does not rule over the majority, because that's what's going to happen if we don't cast our votes. And the attitude of people playing football on streets, I think that should be, in fact, I think there should be a law against that, that if you're seen playing football on election day, you will be arrested. Yes, I think so. That's a bit harsh, but I think I think that's the way to go. They're already threatening to arrest me when I step out of the studio. But really, on a more serious note, it's not just about picking up your PVCs. Now, that's on one side. That's on the side of the people. Now, on the side of INEC, I don't want to hear that people have to pay a certain amount to ensure that they are attended to, because that's what we see with Nigerians registering for the national identity card, even though relevant authorities have come to say, no, you're not supposed to pay, but people still pay. It's either the generator is bad and you need to pay some money so that they can run the generator before you can get your PVC. Quite unfortunate, quite unfortunate. Now, for Nigerians that are seeking to transfer their residence, which I fall under that, transfer my polling unit from one place to another, it's been cumbersome. It's been a Herculean task getting that done. I haven't been able to do that yet, but I do hope that this time around I will be able to do that. So the onus is on everybody really. The INEC, Nigerians, and of course politicians to do their part, and not just politicians. Other civil society organizations too, the relevant civil society organizations, there should be some sort of, sensitization. The NOA, National Orientation Agency, also has its own job caught out for it. And I keep saying, it's not just about having cartoon characters on our screen telling us to switch off our lights and switch off the tap. Let people know that if you don't vote, we shouldn't threaten people with arrest, of course, but let people know that it is their responsibility to vote.
Okay, I'll take it up from the last thing you said. It's more like asking civil society organizations, to sensitize the people, National Orientation Agency to sensitize the people. As a matter of fact, when you said politicians should sensitize the people, I looked at you because politicians don't want you to vote. Why?
Actually.
Yes, so that they have a large latitude to manipulate votes. Even when you register, they are interested in buying your card, your PVC, your voter card, so that they will use it to influence. Now, that said, I like to also come up with a quote that says that the future is nothing but a series of probabilities based on decisions we make right now. And they say that there is no way that you can predict the future except by creating it now. You create your future by predicting it. What I'm driving at is that 2027 starts now, or it started yesterday. As a matter of fact, let's go back to 2022. The momentum, that we saw during the continuous voter registration exercise, immediately after the NSAS. After the NSAS, we saw some kind of a surge, registration by the youths and all of that. It was massive. It was huge. Youths had to stay rain, shine, just to ensure that they registered and collected their PVC votes. And what happened? They actually trooped out en masse to vote in 2023. Now their votes, somehow they felt that those votes didn't count. But don't lose hope. There's always a starting point. Nigeria is work in progress. I keep saying that, like every other nation. So if you have collected, if you're up to 18 years of age, of voting age, go and register. Don't come back tomorrow to complain that APC did this, PDP did that, ADC did that. You are the one doing it now by not voting, by not going out to vote. They say that the price of ignorance is one being ruled by his inferior. If you stay at home and you go to play ball, like Moses said, instead of going to vote, and after 6 months you say, this is what these people are doing. Who put them there? You are the ones that put them there by your action and inaction. So this is the right time. Nigerians, in any way you can, go out. Forget about it. Sacrifice like 2-3 hours of your business time. Your business isn't going to collapse if you don't attend to it one day. Go and register. Go and revive your voter card. If you have lost it, go. Call your name, your date of birth. They will bring it up. The system will call it up and you get a new one. That is the only way that you can hold the government to account. Like I said again, please, don't come out in 2028 to complain that this is what they are doing. You are the ones doing it now. Clarion call, if you ask me.
All right, when you say politicians don't want you to vote, the likes of Peter Obi is a politician, and it's also interesting to note that just, I think after he made the statement to encourage Nigerians to go out there to get their PVC, I come up to talk about the 26,000 persons who visited the portal when it just opened yesterday, to show the interest that people have now in going out to getting their PVCs and also participating in the election. And Mo, you were talking about arresting people who play ball. On a lighter note, I was actually expecting to hear that we'll talk about arresting persons who promised us heaven during elections, and they showed us Pepe Pro Max after the election by telling us that if not that we're having a technical glitch, we'll be having a different thing entirely. Because 2023 general election, I played a role in, from 2022, I began the sensitization of Nigerian youth. I used all medium I had then to call on Nigerians to go get the voters card, register. I even have some persons on the street to help them migrate from their, the former polling unit where they were to help them out with their phone. I had to show so many persons how to do it, and they were able to. And we had a very strong drive and vibe to go cast our vote during the 2023 general elections. We went there. We casted the vote. Some of us were beaten, some were injured. We saw a video of a lady that even when she had bruises on her face, she was actually there. Even some persons here in Lagos, some were being threatened. If you're not going to vote for a particular party, you shouldn't be here. But people actually managed to navigate all those tides and they were able to cast their vote. And guess what? There was an electronic transmission of no election actually is less than order, but with the other, the House of Representatives and even that of the senator seat. And guess what happened? When it's time for them to transmit the vote for the #1 person in Nigeria, we're told that we're having issues. We did not have the issue the other time, and boom, beavers started malfunctioning. This one happened, the other one happened. A whole lot of stories started coming up, and that is when we saw that the election results were being manipulated. But now, what happened to the people who did that? They were moving freely. We have the man who was threatening people that we have the video actually on social media, trending. He has a new position now in Nigeria. Even so many other persons are still moving freely without anything happening to them. Yes. So in one breath, we are calling on Nigerians to go get their voters card. We are calling on Nigerians to understand the importance of voting. In another breath also, I believe and I hope that we should have this electoral reform ASAP. When I mean as soon as possible, that's when it should happen, so that we will be able to know the people to hold accountable when things did not go the way it should go. We'll have a more stringent measure to be able to curb the issue of people who are being disenfranchised. Imagine the by-elections that was conducted. Some persons turned themselves into thugs and start threatening individuals. We even learned that 2 INEC officials were being arrested in Ogun State because they collected money. And these actually are there within the space, and Nigerians are seeing it. And it's those are actually a way to make people feel like standing under the sun or the rain to go get the voter's card and cast a vote doesn't really count. But anyway, it does count, because it's only during election that you see your so-called, elected officials, people who happen to be within the National Assembly, the House of Representatives, come down. That's when they will not know that they have a constituency, they have a place that they come from. They will come down to meet you and tell you, come out and cast your vote. I want to continue this and all that.
The basic thing that we should not, let slide is the fact that if you don't vote on election day, you've made it easier. I mean, ask yourself, why is it that they chase you around when you go out to vote? That's because they want to take advantage of your slots. I mean, if there are, for example, 500 registered voters in a polling unit, and only about 100 come to vote, the other 400, you will have people thumbprinting.
Open for manipulation.
Yes.
I like the fact that you brought us back to this point, because I wanted to ask Fina. Fina, 1/10 is not a good score. Politicians don't want you to vote, Nigerian politicians, so that they have a free leverage, to manipulate.
But during the election, they will come and meet you to say, give me 5,000, I'll give you 5,000.
That is not the issue. The people that give the 5,000 are the people that they see in the polling unit. They know that if Nigerians troop out en masse to vote, they'll vote them out. And when the votes
they
count,
also campaign. They have campaign and rallies before the election.
So, how many politicians of note have told you to go
out there and get your PVCs?
So like I said, 2/10 is not a good score. That's it.
Let's get into another conversation now.
Well, starting now, Nigerians applying for non-immigrant U.S. visa must disclose all social media usernames or handles they've used over the past 5 years on the DS-160 application form. The U.S. mission in Nigeria has made it clear that failing to comply or providing false information can lead to visa denial or even bar applicants from future eligibility. According to the directive, applicants are required to certify that their entries are accurate before submission. Well, this move, part of heightened global security measures, raises serious questions about privacy rights and freedom of expression, especially given how integral social media is to political engagement, entrepreneurship, and daily life in Nigeria. Well, I think the U.S. mission is coming to make it open now. It's been in place for a very long time, because I recall some young man that came down, he was in the U.S., he came down, got engaged with his wife, now went back. Now, when he wanted to file for the wife went to the embassy, and the thing was that, look, we are not married legally yet. So when you go to the embassy, just, you are coming for a visit and all of that. And when they called up her name, they showed her pictures of her traditional wedding and all of that. So that was how they denied her visa. So this thing I'm telling you is over 7 years ago. You know, so it's been in place. It's just that, like we said, because of hiding global insecurity and all of that, that's why they are making it open. It's going to be a bit difficult because a lot of people have like 2, 3, 4 Facebook accounts, you know. Like when I open one, I change device, I lose my PIN number and all of that. I go and open another one, and after a while, you know, I'm not alone in all of that. A lot of Nigerians, you know. So, but I'm fortunate that I don't put up, you know, crazy things on my Facebook or my social media account. So beginning from now, you be careful what you put out there, because very little thing can even deny you visa. By the way, who is interested in going to United States of America? Shouldn't I stay here?
Oh, wait, let's go ahead. Okay. What raise his hand? No. He raised his hand. He said he's going.
No. See, I have another story to tell. A certain lady that was working in Shell back in the days, you know, over 20 years ago, went to UK embassy, and they were like, "What are you going there to do?" and all of. I said, "Sorry, I'm no longer interested. I rather stay here." She stepped out. They called her back and gave her. Of course,
those are the kind of people that they give.
That they give. You get the point.
Yes.
I'm interested in going because I'm clean anyway. By the way, I'm clean. So what I'm saying is, please be careful what you put out there on your social media handles. That's it
of course. You know, it just goes to show that it's not social media space. Like they say, the internet never forgets. Whatever you put out there will either work in your favor or work against you at certain point, at one time or the other. So you should be careful what you put out there. Now, this policy also instructs that you keep your social media accounts open by not leaving it on private, because when it's private, it's a lot difficult for those that are not your friends to view your activity. But when you keep it open, you know, these things are visited. You know, your presence on social media says a lot about your personality. You know, there are people who will talk about abusing people, talk about violence, and, you know, their comments on other posts. These things these things add to how you're perceived as an individual. I know a few people who have lost, I know a few women who have lost marriage proposal because of their stance on certain issues, marital issues. You know, like a woman saying, I wouldn't, if my man does this, I would poison him, I would kill him. And the man that came to marry her saw it. Somebody brought it to his notice. I'm like, okay. In as much as he probably has no intention of cheating, but then a woman who is openly threatening to poison a man who will cheat on her is one that should be avoided with a long pole. You know, so your social media activity says a lot about you. So it's not something that you should just do because you want to trend. You don't just put out things. And this attitude of Nigerians, I don't know if that will count against, I think they should start counting against us, against our people. Nigerian women, especially, and men too, that just dance on social media, shaking body. They should start denying people like that visas.
Personal vendetta, but don't worry.
No, but if another person, no, if it is not your own making, that another person had to lead you on, you know.
To dance?
No, not to dance, to expose indecently. You know, someone leads you on, or like you are in a fight, and they tear your clothes. So would they hold it against you?
No, of course not.
What you call indecent is not indecent in someone else's world. It's really
market. It's now a marketing strategy. You see somebody selling hair.
I'm here.
They will put their camera and dance and dance and dance, and then you will waste. You're waiting to see the hair the person is selling, but the person is just dancing away. The next 1 minute, 2 minutes, just dancing. That's all. And then you're not like, okay, so at what point are you going to tell me this is how much you're selling the product that I want to buy? Are you selling your body?
Okay.
Or are you selling the product?
I understand what they're saying, but let's say there's something I want to say. You see, the United States Embassy, you know, the visa application that gets granted is at the discretion of the officer on scene at that moment.
So they don't somebody who is religious, pious in a certain way.
It might be denied visa if you are dancing, if you have some kind of indecent exposure. Okay. But again, if you meet somebody who is the go-go type, I like what this guy is doing, I like what this guy is doing, downstairs and all of that.
That's why I think it should be a policy.
No,
what
they don't.
Policy do you want to bring?
No, America doesn't have a policy. It's at the discretion of you understand. I had a friend, you know, her name is Joanne, you know, so she went to United States Embassy, and when they called her for interview, your name, they said, oh, your name is Joanne, and the officer was like, oh, my daughter's name is Joanne too. Welcome to United States. That was it.
She was just lucky.
She was just lucky.
Meet
somebody like you, what happened?
No, if it's the name thing, I have absolutely nothing against
it. It's easier to get like some other countries, like if they have 10 requirements and you meet 9 or 10, good to go. But United States or some other countries, if they don't want you,
but in all of this, we should also be talking about making our country good, so people will stay. How many South Africans?
Exactly the point. When I say who is interested in going to the United States?
How many South Africans? How many Zimbabweans run abroad?
Or even come to Nigeria.
They just want to stay in their country.
I believe if Nigeria is the way it should be economically, if we have good security, if we have everything that we're supposed to have from the government, I'm talking about the social amenities, nobody actually wants to live because there's no place like home to start with. But all the same, for the people, if you know you have interest in leaving this nation, just know that whatever thing you put out there on the social media space can be used against you or be used in your favor. And believe me, for like Chuma already pointed out, if you think now that you've forgotten your PIN or you can't remember one of the passwords to any of the social media hands, it's time for you to start building a better one at this point in time. They might even, raise those ones up. And for those of us who are using fake accounts, yes, so many people are using fake accounts. You have the original one and you have the fake one. Once you I believe within myself that the moment they try to click on a particular thing, it is going to backfire. So do the right thing at the right time. Then for the US that is bringing up all these measures, because according to them, they say they want to make sure that they protect their country, to make sure that people who are being granted entrance into the nation actually maintain the certain global security measures and all that. It speaks volume to who wants you to be in their space. I think Donald Trump is doing everything within his power to make sure that he doesn't really allow every other person be in America, with all due respect to him. If you check the tariff hike, if you see the sanction has been given to some persons, the British nation affiliates and all that, it speaks to someone's ideology to say, I don't like these people and all that.
That's MAGA, make America great again. That's it for
It's okay,
Trump.
That's what he's doing, but this also is more like...
There's something you said, people who supply wrong information. You see some Facebook account, you see that the person attended Oxford University between 1980 and 1984 and went to Amasoma High School between 1992 and 1997. How is that possible?
You see some person's age of birth, 1910.
1910, and all of that.
But anyway, away from that...
No, let's go to the papers now. Yes. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at headlines from the papers. All right, so now thanks for joining us again. Now let's look at what the papers have for us this morning. Looking at Nigerian Tribune, the window headlines. U.S. Embassy requires 5-year social media disclosure for Nigerian visa applicants. That's just a conversation we're having a minute ago. RAMFAC begins revenue allocation review, promises new formula before year end. Stakeholders push for higher state share amid rising responsibility. And also, the big story on the cover page of Nigerian Tribune, voter turnout concerns over steady decline in 26 years. Stakeholders blame political office holders. How to get out of quagmire. The Patriots, Adeniro Shitu, others. My being alive is for a purpose, Ladoja. I started this journey in 1993, he says. Paternity crisis, interesting one. I would like all the men to listen to this one during a newspaper review. We'll dissect this particular headline because it's a major concern to Nigerian men. The headline is, paternity crisis. 1 in 4 Nigerian men not biological fathers report. All right then. US-UK governments commend the federal government Ribadu over arrest of terror kingpins. New diabetes subtype found in African youths. Nigerians should help protect Osun Council funds. Nolge cries out. First Bank Agric and Export Conference. Kyari to share insights on building non-oil export-driven economy. And we also have this headline. Editors express concern over complex challenges facing Nigeria. Well, those are the headlines on the cover page of Nigerian Tribune.
And the Daily Independent newspaper is up next, and the window headlines are U.S. British governments commend FG, NSA over arrest of terror kingpins. Indigenous contractors accuse FG of favoring foreign cause. And the banner headline on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper today reads, a visa application, Nigerians to provide 5-year social media activity, U.S. Embassy. Editors express concern over complex challenges facing Nigeria. Rider urge government to address economy, insecurity, governance. Tinubu says Nigeria poised to deliver LPG beyond Africa. Inaugurates Wagao's 40,000 CBM LPG vessel in South Korea. Lawmaker proposes ranches in 774 LGA's FCT. Ondo under fresh siege of kidnappers, ritual killers, residents charge security agencies government on quick action. 2025, a near-sure victory for us as party, APC. Right after that story, Tinubu's aide mocks coalition leaders over by-elections defeat. CVR, 69,376 Nigerians pre-register in 7 hours. That's coming from INEC. And the bottom strip headline reads, Tinubu arrives in Japan ahead of TICAD's 9th summit. Those are the stories you'll find on the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper today.
Okay, let's take a punch at the Punch newspaper with the banner with the window headlines. Customs issue 14-day deadline to seize 905 overtime cargoes. Crisis alert, UNICEF seeks life-saving 240 billion naira for Nigeria aid projects. Fubara eyes September 18 comeback as IBAS pushes project's completion. And beside the nameplate, Alaafin lambast Oni in fiery clash over chieftaincy title. Now the big story, federal government must pay raise for political office holder. I saw this coming the moment they say RAMFAC needs to rejig their standards. I saw it coming. Now RAMFAC says Tinubu's 1.5 million naira salary, ministers under 1 million pay, low, launches revenue sharing review. You see where they are going to. You see where they are. Okay. Now, global leaders begin high-stakes talks to end Russia-Ukraine war. PENCOM blacklists 7 mortgage banks over housing loans breach. 2 motorcyclists remanded for allegedly raping Ondo teenager. That's good for them, but bad for her anyway. Osun Nolge battles AGF over seized funds suit transfer. And that's it from the Punch newspaper.
That's how far we can go, taking a quick peep on the cover page of the National Dailies. Do also join Chikuma and Moses for the newspaper review proper, and that'll be on top of the hour, 10 a.m. here on Voice of the People Television. And we're going to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dissect the first topic of conversation, where the presidency have made Nigerians understand that 5 million poor Nigerians are set to get direct cash transfers into their accounts. From what we got, I think 70% of these people reside in the north, and 20 or 30% are here in the south. We'll just dissect this after this quick break. Do well to stay with us.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand. The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. The red carpets, award,
Glad to have you back. It's still VOP this morning. The federal government, through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, has announced a major relief operation for 419 billion naira already disbursed to 5 million vulnerable Nigerians. And also there was a plan to distribute direct cash transfer to an additional 2.2 million poor households before the end of August. Minister Tanko Sununu revealed that the funds are being administered via the National Social Safety Net Coordinating Office, the NASCO, and targeted through the National Social Register, which prioritizes the most impoverished Nigerians. 71% of beneficiaries so far are in the north and 21% in the south. While the rollout is being touted by some as a lifeline amid rising economic hardship, critics argue its credibility based on national data and statistics, and that it might not reach all those in need. Many poor households still lack access to basic needs, and public trust in government welfare schemes remains low due to past failures. The spotlight now turns to whether this campaign will deliver real relief or fade into another promise unmet. I wouldn't want it to be the Voice of the People television are the ones, talking about this. So I have a video where the minister himself, was talking about it. We'd like to take a listen.
In the next few days to come, before the end of August, we are going to reach out to 2,119,000 households.
August is ending in a few days.
This way, yes.
In 2 weeks.
I'm telling you, we have all said. You see, the process is such that NASCO, we have a NASCO, National Social Safety Office, that will now harvest vulnerable Nigerians based on their lowest cadre in the National Social Register.
What is the level of intervention? What sort of intervention are you looking at for those Nigerians?
For those Nigerians, for them, it is a rapid.
All right, that's the minister himself telling Nigerians how the most vulnerable of them will benefit from the social welfare, which he believes actually that they have a way to fish out the people who actually needed the phones. So we have with us in the studio Pres Francis Chilaka, a political and public affairs analyst, and also in the studio just beside him is Mazi Amobi Heboro, who is also a public affairs analyst. Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes, good morning, Fina.
Good to have you join today's conversation. And we'll be touched, when we get to our Oka studios, we'll have Barrister Claire Magui, who is a lawyer, a columnist, writer, and a public affairs analyst, also join the conversation. And then in Abuja, we'll have Edwin Adai, who is the CEO of African Institute for Statecraft International, AISI, join the conversation too. Let me start off with you, Pres Francis Chilaka. What do you have to say about this particular statement by the minister saying that more Nigerians, first, let's look at the fund, 419 billion naira to be disbursed. And now we also have another 2.2 million Nigerians to benefit from the cash transfer, direct cash transfers, which they are going to get. The other day, I think yesterday or thereabout, the First Lady also gave out 50,000 naira to women in Ekiti State just to help empower them. Now, how are we going to, because this actually happens to be the first question people are asking, how do we know the poorest of the poor, the vulnerable, the people that needed this money, when we don't have data or statistics?
There are some things those in power would do that just becomes a mockery of humanity and then laughter for everyone to look at. You're talking about, first of all, they said if I'm correct, the minister said they have disbursed 419 billion already to vulnerable, in quotes, Nigerians. And I also remember he said that 71% of that funds went to the northern part of Nigeria and 21% to the southern part. And then I asked, this question: how do you empower people when you keep dashing them money? How can a government that believes in production, a government that believes in taking people out of poverty, condescend to the level of just giving people money, and you say you're empowering them? Are you giving them money to start up small business? Are you giving them money to go and eat? What are you giving them the money for? Already, your Minister for Aviation said he needs 712 billion to carry out renovation works at international airports. And then you have already given 419 billion. That means less than 300 billion or so will be enough to do the job you want to do. So you borrow money. I mean, see, I don't understand the logic behind this whole thing. You are telling Nigerians you don't have money to finance your budget. You're telling Nigerians subsidy is gone. You're telling Nigerians you cannot even make account of the money that have been saved. And then you go and borrow to finance the budget. And then from the borrowing, you are dashing out some. Who will pay for it?
Are you saying in one breath that, the people whom, according to what, Okonjo-Iweala talked about when he came to visit the president, to say that we need to find a way to grow the economy. And he made mention of the social safety net to be one of the parts to get across. So people who are bearing the brunt of those economic, policies that we're having now. Are you saying we should allow these poor people languish?
Who made them poor?
Because you don't really have...
Fina, who made the Nigerian people poor? Who has fostered poverty and hunger on the Nigerian people? Is the political class. Check in terms of development indices. Check in terms of infrastructural indices. What have we benefited as a nation since we came back to civil rule?
Okay.
So tell me one thing we are benefiting. All the infrastructures you have, especially the major roads, the bridges, were built by the military.
But we have the second Niger bridge being built by the civilian. And not just that, so we have, other projects also that...
For how many years did they take them to build the bridge? And how long did it take you to do the second,
bridge? Please, let's stay reaching out to the poorest of the poor. And I would like for us to expand this discussion. This is not a Nigerian creation. It is not novel anyway. Like even in advanced countries, you see people receive food stamps. You see people that are out of job at one point or the other get benefits from the government, what essentially we call social safety net, so that between the transition period, when you're out of job and the time you get back to job, you are not allowed to starve. That is the responsibility of government. So is it out of place that Nigeria at this time that we are thinking in that direction, to ensure that everybody, has a sense of belonging, the poorest of the poor, no matter how they become poor. Even in advanced countries, we have poor people, and it is the responsibility of government to take care of those poor people. So don't you think that the government is working in the right direction in what they're doing?
Since 2025, if I'm correct, we have been giving out cash, in quotes, to the poorest of the poor. Yet, in Nigeria today, you have what they call multidimensional poverty. When you're doing something in one way and it's not working, what do? You look for another way to do it. For me, I strongly believe that Nigerians are not in their need of you dashing them 10,000, 20,000. No. Let's assume the way we are here, there are 5 of us here now, and the government decides to do this their giveaway, and maybe at the end of the day, say each one here will get like 5 million naira. 5 times 5, that's 25 million. If we put that 25 million together and start a business, don't you think that in less than 1 year, that business will expand and create more employment for others? Is that not what we want? Is that not how to encourage people?
No, but away from these food stamps that they are giving, these, what do they call it, this thing that they are giving out to people, to the poorest of the poor, there are also other measures like agri loans, that are available to farmers and all of that. So don't you think that this one is a stopgap measure, to close that gap momentarily, while the bigger ones, like the loans that you talked about now, that in the agri sector, that people access these loans, plug them into the economy, and reinvent the economy so that everybody will benefit. And mind you, even in advanced countries where these food stamps are given, some of them have happened for like 30, 40 years.
With due respect to you this morning, let's stop saying this thing, advanced countries. No, but don't Nigeria is, how old is Nigeria? Nigeria is 50-something years old.
Okay.
And a child of 57, something,
65 as a matter of fact.
65.
As a matter
Okay,
of
at
fact.
65. What is the lifespan of Nigerians? What is our lifespan?
Life expectancy.
What is it?
Okay.
54,
55.
So it means that those who are supposed to be beneficiaries should all be dead by now. That is what it means.
I'm sorry, Prince. Everyone understands that the economy is in decline.
When we keep moving, when we keep proposing something that doesn't work, that doesn't make sense. For me, it does not make sense. You as a father, would you go and borrow money from the bank and share to your children? How do you want to pay the money back? Don't you have plans of how to pay the money back? So every time you want to go and borrow and distribute and share, and you tell us, oh, you don't have money to finance your budget. You don't have money to put food on the table. You don't have money to send your children to school.
Right.
But you have what it takes to go and borrow and distribute. Sharing money is not the solution to Nigerians' problem.
Okay.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Prince Francis Chilaka. Let's bring Mazi Amobi Iheboro into the conversation. Mazi, good morning to you once again.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming here. Now, what are the projected short-term and long-term effects of distributing cash transfers to Nigerians? 2.2 million Nigerians are on that supposed list. What are the long-term and short-term risk involved?
Yeah, purely from a Marxian perspective, economy constitutes the substructure of the society, while politics and social, constitutes the superstructure, and that is how it should be. But these days, the reverse seems to be the case, and with this kind of structure, it makes it increasingly difficult for the society to move on. Before the present dispensation came on board, they told us that the man is a master strategist and all that. Handouts, sharing money, I do not think it's a strategy, not to even talk about being a master one for that matter. I think I want to associate myself with what Prince said. We should look for a more creative way. This handout does not work. It has not worked. It started with Buhari's administration. It is now Tinubu's administration, and we are still talking about handouts. When will we change? What is important is to rejig the economy. Look at the nitty-gritty. You see, many people have touted the idea of being a productive economy. Nigeria is not a productive economy. That is where we should be going. That is where we'll be looking at. For example, if you think of giving handouts to people and all that for them to eat, if you give 2.2 million households 10,000 naira, 10,000 naira in the present day Nigeria cannot cook a pot of soup. It cannot. So what are we trying to do? And I verily believe also that this is a veritable avenue for people to rake in money. It doesn't work. They should rethink their strategy. Let's forget about this handout thing. It cannot work. You know the scandal that is associated. You know the scandal that is associated with the former humanitarian minister and all that. This ministry has been, it's not becoming a conduit pipe.
Better you do.
Yeah, a conduit pipe for governments to do whatever they want to do. The ministry, on the surface, seems to, have potentials to, make Nigeria look good, Nigerians look good. But the dynamics of the ministry and how they operate does not reflect the intent.
Okay, Maz, let me ask you now. Everyone understands, like you said, that we need to rejig the economy, to make it convenient for businesses to thrive, even poor people, for them to do businesses. Now, in the interim, while we are trying to rejig the economy, should the government allow these poor Nigerians to die? What should the government do? While rejigging the economy, what should the government do to carry these people along for survival? So that they don't starve to death.
After winning an election, how many days did it take the present government to be sworn in? He said he asked for the job. Don't pity me. you are going for an examination, you need to prepare. When you are made a presidential candidate, you begin to tinker with policies. How do you better the life of the people you want to govern? Now you have won an election, 2-3 months to swearing in. After that, 2 years. My brother, I think they're not serious.
Okay, now what is the difference between what is being done in Nigeria now and what we see in other developed climes? Like my colleague rightly said, food stamps are given to people, and in times of hardship, in fact, certain categories of people who do not have viable income are given stipends by government of their country to help them survive until they have something to hold on to and then pay taxes and all. What is the difference between what is being done abroad in other climes and what we are talking about now?
Trust. There's
How
a
so?
lot of trust deficit in Nigerian polity. Government cannot be trusted.
So you're saying it's a good initiative, but lack of trust will make it
absolutely.
not to work.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that government should continue to give Nigerians handouts.
When they have done the right thing.
What is the right thing?
The right thing is to lay foundation for the economy to take off. Of course, you will have a time frame. Like, we will give you stipends, we give you handouts for 1 year, 2 years, after which, what it means is that the government is already doing something, and people are seeing it, that the government is on the right trajectory. But if the government is doing one thing and, telling us another thing, then it becomes a problem. We have huge trust deficits in this country.
How effective was trader money when it was given?
All these palliatives you are talking about, I don't believe in palliative. During the, is it COVID or whatever, it's palliative somehow. It's a palliative
But
measure.
you say this is a good one.
It depends on what you mean.
No, that's what you said.
No, what I'm saying is you have to there are certain things that you put in place that will make something to, blossom.
All right, during the time of Jonathan, we have the Empire.
Yeah.
During the time of Buhari, we have the
Trader money.
Is it trader money? Then there's another one again they created again. Shopee was for Jonathan and Empire was for Buhari, and also the trader money and all that. These actually were the ones they put in place to make sure that some Nigerians actually could, lay their hands on some money when they are working or doing some other things. Now, why is it that Nigeria as a nation could not sustain such? Because we could see during the time of Shopee, we have some branded vehicle that people who cannot afford cars could lay their hands on, use for taxi. And even during the Empire time, people were being employed to teach and, engage in other things. Why can't we sustain such?
You have tangentially answered that question. It has failed over time. What it tells me is that it is not a good policy. It is not the good way to go. If we have had all these interventionist strategies and none of them has worked, and we are still, manufacturing more, it means it cannot work.
That's why I asked, why can't we? What happened to it? Why is it that it's not working?
I have said the one that the vice president went into the market to begin to share money and all that. To who was those monies given to? And what is the benefit of sharing those monies? And who?
Are we going to limit this? Because it's more like we're beginning to apportion blames now. Is it going to, the bulk, will it stop at that of the government or people that, because there was a farmer here sometime that says that money will be made available to farmers. Fertilizers are being shared and every other thing we're supposed to get to them. But individuals are supposed to be the ones that, let the things get to the farmers, were the ones skipping them. Are we to blame the government for bringing out all these good initiatives or, the people who are supposed to handle it at this point?
Leadership is a very Herculean task. If you're a leader, one thing is to enunciate a policy. Another thing is to ensure that such policies, trickle down effectively. If you have a way of giving loans to farmers, you have to identify the real farmers. Have we been able to identify the real farmers? Just like we are touting this idea of social safety net register. Who are there? Who are the farmers? Is it the portfolio farmers or what have you? So efforts should be made. If there are good policies, our problem is not policies. Our problem is implementation of such policies.
All right.
You get what I'm saying? It's implementation of such policies. So they are good on paper, but when we get to the brass tacks of trying to implement this policy, that is where the problem is.
All right, Prince, let me come back to you now. Talking about cash transfers, 2.2 million Nigerians, that's a lot. But some have said that these cash transfers, this cash transfer initiative can be perceived as a political tool. How do you react to that? And let's put that in light of creating dependency. The issue of cash transfers creating dependency.
Well, cash transfer, I don't know anybody seated here that have had any of their family members who have gotten money. Because when you say poorest of the poor, first and foremost, I need to know, where is the database? Why is the database so difficult for the government to make it public?
Would you prefer to have lists of the poorest of the poor? Don't you think that would,
would
traumatize them?
No, that's accountability. That's transparency. How can you be giving money to people that nobody knows?
So you don't think that the
It's
minister
our national wealth.
you don't think that the minister have such data to tell us
It's
that
our national
71%
wealth.
reside in the north
Where is the database your former vice
and
president
21
Oshimbajo
reside in the
used
south?
in sharing money? Why is the database you use in sharing money at the markets? How much of that money has come back to the system? Or how much of that money has come back to the government coffers? It's all politicking. That is just what it is.
Okay, Prince, as we move on, I want us to do something. Permit me to put you on the spot. I want us to reverse roles. Simulate the situation. Make you the president in 6 months now. Let's leave infrastructure. Let's leave. What would you do in the economy to bring it back, to make it rebound?
The first thing you need to do is to cut the cost of governance.
Okay.
It's very, very important.
Save money.
Cut the cost of governance.
And save
provide
money.
electricity.
Okay.
You need to provide electricity because the man on the street needs that electricity. Bring down the cost of petrol. Because petrol has become the lifeline of every Nigerian. And then ensure that farmers go back to the farms. Tackle insecurity headlong.
Is it possible to achieve all of this in 1 year?
It
2
is
years?
possible. It's possible. You need to understand enormous power the president has. All he needs to do is issue an executive order. And it will be carried out. Instead of having a bloated government where you have 50-something ministers, merge the ministries. The states that are unable to survive on their own, in terms of IGRs, merge them back. We must think outside the box for this country to move.
You make those states true.
Merge them back.
Through executive order.
Yes, no.
Okay.
When you say make them back, the president will take the steps to do the National Assembly will do the right thing. Merge them back.
Prince, are you aware that I'm happy that you have laid out a good plan? Are you aware that there are people who don't want the president to succeed? So don't you think that they will throw spanners in the works?
Those who don't want the president to succeed, who the hell are they? Where are they from?
Nigerians like you and I.
What gives them the power not to want the president to succeed? When a president has good innovations, good programs, if the people support your programs, nobody can stop it.
Exactly the point. I like the fact that you have made. If you have good programs, and if the people support it, which means there are people who don't support this program. Mazi said we have good policies. It's implementation that is the problem.
He said something that made a lot of sense.
Okay.
He says we have trust deficit. You need to build it.
Going back to people who don't want a particular government to succeed.
Let me tell you, take time to go and look at the late Yaradua's government.
Okay. Short-lived though.
In 2 years. About that. Check what he achieved in terms of trying to, restructure Nigeria and move Nigeria in the right path, and then bring it to what you have your strategist is doing today, and tell me if we're making any progress.
You don't believe that the president is a master strategist?
What is he strategizing about? People should stop all this packaging.
It's not packaging. Look at how everybody is moving to the APC.
Why would they not move? when
So
you have
that
an
makes him the
electoral law,
strategist.
when you have an electoral law that we're asking for a change and nobody's doing anything about it, you saw what happened with the by-elections. You saw what happened with the by-elections.
So doesn't that speak volume that even when we have
The
good
reason why you have
policies,
people
that
decamping
people
from
will
their
not
parties,
want that policies to work because of the benefit they want to get from
their
it?
parties to APC is because they want to go a second term. For the governors who are doing the first term. For the members in the House and Senate, they want to continue to be there.
All right, before we wrap up
We
this
need to
conversation,
change that law that allows you to leave your party and retain your position.
interesting point. Before we leave this conversation, I would like you to give me your opinion on this, Mazi Amobi. We have a particular story that made it to the cover page of the national dailies where Ramfak, at this point in time, says that they want to rejig or even reshuffle the payments of the elected officials. FG Mo's pay raise for political office holders. And Ramfak is saying that Tinubu's 1.5 million naira salary, ministers under 1 million naira pay, is low. And they're planning to launch a revenue sharing review. What do you have to say about this, even amid our economic crisis and challenges that we're having?
I tell you that that move will see the light of the day in a jiffy. 48 hours is done. But to do the right thing that will benefit the generality of Nigerians will not be done. It took the National Assembly only 48 hours to change the national anthem. But it's taking donkey days for them to look at, tinker with the Electoral Act and all that. So what we're saying is that when it suits them, when they are beneficiaries, the action is done with the speed of light. But when it is Nigerian turn to benefit, there is a cog in the wheel of progress to achieving such things. Now, take for instance, this issue of the Super Falcons that, won the African Cup of Nations. They said they have been allocated land. Now, the lady cried out, we have not seen anything, the money is not there and everything. They said, oh, don't worry. To allocate land takes process. This man has to come, this other man has to come. When the president have spoken, the people that should effect such presidential order should be, it shouldn't take them more than 24 hours to do. You see, if you are hands-on on your job, it is seamless. But when it is fraught with a lot of, insincerity, that is where the problem is. So I wouldn't be surprised, Fina, that attempt will be, will see the light of the day very, very fast.
And if that should happen, then where then lies the trust we're talking about here?
That is the point. They are looking at even the 70,000 naira we are talking about. You know what 70,000 naira can do in this economy that is shattered and asphyxiated? People are suffering. And one particular thing that is associated with this administration is that once you to the government, once you mention the fact, or once you say that Nigerians are suffering, they become belligerent. They want to fight you. So why must you say that? And all that. But that is the true position in this country. Nigerian people are gasping for air. There is this nail on their neck. It will not take long before we start experiencing these things, openly. It is being covered now. By the time we say Jaffa, if this persists till the end of the year, we might have an open, overt kind of resistance, in this polity.
All right.
The government should take it very, very seriously.
All right, government should take it seriously. And still talking cash transfers and sustainability, what is the estimated annual budget? I mean, if you can put something together in that light for the cash transfer program, and how do you perceive that this will be financed going forward, or will this also come from taxpayers' money at the end of the day?
My brother, I do not know how it will be financed. Of course, we are taking loans left, right, and center.
Indeed.
The other day, NLC wanted to go on strike, or they have given notice of strike, because the government has put hand into the cookie jar of NISTF. The government was, saying we have not done anything and all that. But when they now saw that NLC is bent on actualizing their aim of, going on strike because they have tampered with the monies of the Nigerian worker. They now owned up 2 days ago that really, yes, they have taken 50%. If you have taken 50% from the worker, that is why when you retire or when you give intention to retire, you don't get any money from your pension funds. So what it means is that I do not even know. If you borrow for infrastructural development, that's fine. If you borrow for consumption, that's suicide. It's suicide. So I do not know how they are going to, fund whatever thing they are going to fund, but I think it would be nice an exercise in futility. That's my perception about it.
All right.
And perception sometimes can be real.
All right then. Prince Francis, your reaction to that as well. Repayment of these cash transfers, and what impact will it have on Nigeria's economy going forward? Seeing that most of the monies used are borrowed monies.
You and I will pay.
You and I will pay.
You and I will pay. That's what it comes to. That's why the government has extended its, tax net. Everybody now pays tax. You transfer money, you pay tax. You receive money, you pay tax.
So in the long run, this is not beneficial to
It's
Nigeria's
not
economy.
I don't know when last you traveled from Lagos to the southeast. We have no roads.
Bypasses.
We have no roads. Do you know this cash transfer? Do you know how much of the roads it will be able to fix? And you also know the ripple effect of that road fixing. It creates employment. Rather than share money to people, use that money to be productive. Use that money to create employment. So for me, whatever the government is doing, sharing money is a conduit pipe for embezzlement.
Okay.
Period.
That's a lack of trust issue.
Exactly.
Spoken about earlier. All right, then, thank you very much, gentlemen. But let's get into another conversation now. Defend yourselves. Prove it legally that you are not a terrorist group. Follow now to APC and PDP. This, of course, is coming in the light of a Canadian court judgment that has labeled the All Progressives Congress, a political party in Nigeria, and the People's Democratic Party as terrorist groups. Let's x-ray this when we come back.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe. Hunger no get religion.
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People television. Don't just react, understand.
Well, thanks for joining us again. Now, the human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, has sparked heated controversy, insisting that Nigeria's two dominant political parties, the All Progressive Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, must openly prove they are not operating like terrorist organizations. Falana argued that the culture of violence, electoral manipulation, and corruption associated with the parties has damaged public trust and questioned their legitimacy in a democratic society. His call has stirred debate nationwide, with many Nigerians saying it reflects the frustration of citizens who feel trapped between two political giants accused of failing the people. Meanwhile, amidst the political tension, President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Japan for the Tokyo International Conference on African Development 9, that's TICAD 9, where he's expected to push Nigeria's economic and diplomatic agenda, while the president is seeking foreign investment abroad. Well, back home, the political storm triggered by Falana's remarks continued to dominate conversation, raising fresh questions about whether APC and PDP can truly reform, or if Nigerians must look elsewhere for credible leadership. Well, we still have with us Prince Francis Chilaka, political and public affairs analyst, and Mazi Amobi Ihegweru, also a public affairs commentator. We'll be going to Awka in the course of the program, where we have Barrister Clem Aguyi, who is a lawyer, a columnist, a writer, and a public affairs analyst, a fellow of the Abuja School of Socio-Economic Thoughts, a chairman emeritus in Jikoka local government area. Well, thank you very much, Barrister Clem, for joining this conversation. Now, since you are a barrister, let's start with you. Let me start off with you. What does it matter, really, that a court in Canada has tagged the biggest political parties in Nigeria, the APC and the PDP, as terrorist organizations, denying members or affiliates of the party asylum? What should it matter? What does it matter to Nigeria and Nigerians?
Yeah, it matters. First of all, thank you for having me today in this conversation. And I will tell you something. The ruling in Canada matters because it also matters based on our international reputation. How does other countries' jurisdiction perceive us as a country? You will understand that it is not all the political parties in Nigeria that were labeled as a terrorist organization. It is PDP and APC. And PDP and APC at various times had ruled this country, governed this country. PDP governed this country at a period of time for 16 years when the insurgency started, and appeared helpless to help Nigerians that are being killed to at least escape from the danger posed by terrorists in Nigeria. So many allegations were made that PDP government then may be in acquiescence with these terrorist organizations. And that is why they are not able to do anything to quell the insurgency. And then APC took over. And there have been allegations that these bandits, who have also metamorphosed into terrorism and terrorists, were invited actually by APC members in the north for the purpose of winning election. They won the election, and the people they brought in refused to go back, and they became entrenched. They did not rehabilitate them. They did not put them into useful purpose. They now take to the bush. And the government have said, these people are not Nigerians. How did they come into Nigeria? And the APC government under Buhari clearly identified with the headers and these terrorist groups. Rather than deal with the issue of insurgency, he was asking Nigerians to learn to live with them. There is no Nigerian that has a reasonable mind that didn't understand that the Buhari government was partial in dealing with the issue of insurgency and banditry and terrorism in Nigeria. And now we have this current government in place, and people are still asking questions. People are still being killed, and they're asking, what happened to our military? What happened to the equipment that we imported? What happened to our intelligence gathering? What happened to our police? Why is it that they are ineffective when it comes to terrorism?
Okay.
How come terrorists are collecting taxes government is unable to collect? How come the terrorism in Nigeria are expanding under a legitimate government?
Okay.
And that government doesn't seem to have an answer. So both domestically here and internationally, it is a wake-up call for the political parties, for these two major political parties to actually begin to address this issue.
Sorry to butt in at this point. You're asking what have the security agencies done? Just the other day, there was a report of two terrorist kingpins, Abu Bara and Al-Haji Mahmouda. Two of them were arrested with links, of course, to Al-Qaeda. Isn't that something that they should be loaded for?
Now, you're a Nigerian journalist, and I know that you don't know those names. Before they say they arrested them, they are kingpins. I never knew those names. And I'm a very educated Nigerian, and I'm also very enlightened. I never heard of those names. We know the terrorists.
What are you insinuating, Barrister Klein?
Yeah, what I'm insinuating is that Nigerians doesn't even know those names. I don't even think we know about Toji. What's happening? Why can't they arrest Toji? Why is Toji not arrested by now? Why is he not dealt with by now? We know Toji as the major person that is aiding terrorism.
Okay.
All
right, Clem.
We know the clerics that are preaching violence and aiding the terrorists in Nigeria. What is the government doing about it? Why will you bring up two insignificant fellows that will never
Barrister Clems, we get your point. Barrister Clems, we get your point. I'd like for us to talk about the international dimension that you raised, about the judgment that Nigeria should take it seriously. More like it's a dent on our image, how the international community, perceive us and all of that. And as you are saying this, I understand that our president is in Japan as we speak. He will move from UAE to Japan, and from Japan he will go to Brasilia. The other day, in the wake of this judgment, by the way, and the president is moving. Nobody has stopped him. He will go to Brazil. The other day, the vice president was in Europe. The other time he was in the United States of America. So do you really think that, and just in the wake of this judgment too, Nigeria signed a $346 billion deal, if I'm correct, with the United States of America for the supply of arms. So do you think that judgment is going to have any sort of negative impact, on Nigerians' image? Do you think that another country will not want the president to come because his party is designated a terrorist organization and all of that? What impact would that make? I mean, he's still globetrotting.
It takes one civilized country to hold you accountable. And before you know it, other civilized countries will begin, allied countries will begin also to hold you accountable. It is very significant that a country like Canada said PDP APC is a terrorist organization because of the way they have operated Nigeria and subverted democracy and the will of the people. Now, it takes maybe America to take a cue one day and say, and the court will rule, you are a terrorist organization. It takes also one country to say, you are a persona non grata. You can't come to our country because your hands are soiled with blood. It takes one other country to say, look, we cannot sell weapons to you because you are transferring these weapons to terrorist organization instead of protecting the people.
Clems, if you look at Nigeria's strategic relationship with the United States of America and the role that Nigeria is expected to play in Africa, do you think that America will soon take that decision and say, look, enough of this? I mean, like I said, in the wake of the judgment, we are cutting $1 million deals, for arms and ammunition. To do what? To help us fight terrorism. So when is that likely to happen?
I want you to understand that Trump's foreign policy is unpredictable. Okay. And he's a very unpredictable person. And right now, Trump is America first. Right now, what Trump is interested in growing the American economy. Nigeria, they're not dashing Nigeria, they're not giving Nigeria arms to go and fight terrorism. You are buying their weapons. And you ask yourself, what does America produce apart from arms and weapons of war? So they need to sell their weapons of war. They need that money that you're going to pay them. So when they sell it to you, baby, they'll come around and tell you tomorrow, you cannot even use them. It happens to our Tucano that we bought. They say you cannot use them to to fly to go and do A, B, C, D. So that they sold you weapon is not a mileage.
Okay.
They can also tell you that you cannot use that weapon. And understand that Trump is in business.
Thank
and
you.
He wants your money, and he's going to get your money.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister Clems, for that. Let's bring it back to the studio now. Mazi Heboro, one of the notions that the Canada courts raised was the issue of malpractices during election, and also other things that we see. And then Falana, when he was talking about this case yesterday, made mention of what Obasanjo said in 2003, how election is a do or die affairs. And, you know, in 2023, this particular president said, Snapchat, take it and run with it and all that. And these actually were the things that made them come up to say that PDP and APC, you know, is a terrorist organization. Are we going to see any time in Nigeria where our election is, you know, is going to be void of such statement and such actions from political elites?
Thank you very much. Let's have a working definition of terrorism. Terrorism is the calculated use of violence or the threat of violence to instill fear and coerce governments or societies into meeting specific political, religious, or ideological goals. That is a working definition of terrorism. And you have some characteristics of terrorism: violence, threat, coercion, intimidation, and all that. The question should be, does this characterization fit into the Nigerian situation? I leave that question for Nigerians to answer. If this characterization of terrorism fits into the Nigerian situation, then what is this thing about Canada?
Is it right then to say that Nigeria is being governed by terrorist groups?
I have defined what terrorism is all about.
By that definition?
Yes.
Does that inadvertently mean that Nigeria is a terrorist nation?
If you are saying that, I'm telling you that part of what characterizes terrorism is violence, is threat, is intimidation. Do we have all those things in Nigeria?
Okay, let's X-ray statements that have been made in the past by political actors. It's a do or die.
Yeah.
Credited to Obasanjo. Yeah. Blood will flow.
Yes.
Blood will flow. Baboons and the rest. Credited
it's not served
to.
A la carte.
It's not served a la carte.
Yes. And
grab it, snatch it, run with it.
Yeah.
Credited to the current president. Can we classify those as terrorizing Nigerians? Can we classify that as terrorist acts? In light of that definition,
yes. What I will take from it is that it's a wake-up call for Nigerians. If it takes a Canadian court to say this, then it's like we are being sensitized to what we ordinarily, did not know about. Now, we had very strict understanding of what terrorism means, but now, with the definition, we have been able to find out that terrorism can also be subtle, in terms of the definition we have read out now. So it's a wake-up call for Nigerians to be able to see how, we can mitigate about this. Our colleague, in diaspora here, have told us that it has implications. It has serious implications. The way you are perceived. Okay. They usually say you dress the way you want to be addressed.
Okay.
The perception now is this. For you to clear that perception, you have to do good. You have to make the electoral process very, very clean.
All right then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Edwin Adai, CEO, African Institute for Statecraft International. Good morning to you. That's our guest from our Abuja studio. Well, let's establish contact with you. Good morning to you. Well, you might need to unmute your microphone so we can hear you. All right, we seem to have an issue with the audio and the visual from our Abuja station. So we'll just bring it back to the studio now. Prince Francis Chilaka, let me come back to you. What impact so far? We've heard countries like America and some other countries say, look, because after they observe elections here, EU observers take their reports back, and then we hear things like some political players are not allowed to travel to their country because of their actions during elections in Nigeria. But how much impact has that really made? And by this ruling now, will it stop anything? Because the president is still, shaking hands across the globe.
All right, let me start by saying that there's nothing like PDP, there's nothing like APC. It's still the same people. The people you had in PDP are the ones who moved to APC, and the ones in APC are still the ones in PDP. So when the Canadian court defined APC, they just didn't know how to say that your government is a terrorist government. That's why they just decided to use political party, more like semantics.
Parties.
You understand? But the truth of the matter is that we're just in a mess in this country. It's so sad. It's so sad because I was just thinking about it when I read it, and I was thinking. I said, if, for instance, the Canadian government had come to say IPOB is a terrorist organization, do you know what will happen in this country today? Do you know how government would have reacted? What it would have been is that by now, the entire Southeast would have seen more presence of the military and the police. The one we have there now would have been a child's play. So bringing it back to government, a foreign country, a law court in a foreign country is saying that the two major political parties in Nigeria are, it means that it is run by cartel, it is run by armed robbers, it is run by arms dealers, it is run by corrupt men. That's what it means. It means that those in those parties cannot be trusted.
Okay.
But they have not said to you that your government is a terrorist government.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, Prince, going forward and in the light of this judgment by a Canadian court, arising from one individual that sought asylum, in Canada, and they rejected it on the basis that he's moved from APC to PDP and that both parties were designated terrorist organizations. Now, do you see in the future people being denied visa on the strength of being members of that political party? So does it now some kind of blanket characterization, designation that every member of PDP, APC, or PDAPC, is a terrorist?
Okay, the thing is this. It's only in Nigeria that we don't take judgments seriously. If you checked all the judgments, you find out that individuals, first of all, would want to be the ones to translate what they think the judgment is. Then the lawyers would want to give their own side of what they think the judgment is. Look at what's happening in the Labour Party. The Supreme Court judgment, the High Court judgment, everybody is trying to see where that judgment favors them. But with a country like Canada, you don't need that. The judgments are not,
politicized.
They're not politicized. It comes out. So what it means is that if tomorrow you are going to apply for a Canadian visa, and somewhere along the line they find out that you're APC member or former APC member or PDP member, you will not get the visa.
Okay.
Because they have no room for terrorism. They will not give room for a terrorist to enter their country.
Okay, now how do you think that the government will react to all of this?
Well, the government is grandstanding. The government has failed to address the issue properly. The government has been trying to, they've been threatening and all of it. There are things you don't threaten about. I remember when the chief of army staff, I think it was the same Canada, that denied him visa. And rather than seek for a diplomatic means of resolving it, we went defense. We gave 1,001 reasons. But you should ask yourself, when you do these things, these people, do they even think of coming to your country?
So you think that statement for them to retract this particular verdict or judgment is not going to make any headway?
Judgment has been passed. The only thing you can do is probably appeal it.
All right, let's bring in, I wanted to get the opinion of the legal practitioner that I have. Barrister Clem Sagui, please. What will be the legal implication of this? Are we going to see Nigeria taking the Canadian court to court over this particular statement? Because federal government now, come up to say, retract your statement. You don't wake up to say something like this about the government.
I think it is wrong for Nigerian government to ask the Canadian court to retract their statement. It's a judgment. You can appeal against the judgment. A court does not retract their statement. A court judgment can be overturned by appealing to it and bringing a superiority why you cannot have that judgment sustained. That's number one. This judgment has a very wide implication.
Hear me now.
This judgment has a very wide implication.
Hello.
And I also heard you talking about what our former leaders have said, our former government has said about how to get power in Nigeria. And I tell you that if you talk like a terrorist, you are a terrorist. If you belong to a terrorist organization by association, you are a terrorist. You can't talk like Hamas and tell me that you're not a terrorist. When you talk like Hamas, you're a terrorist. Whether you carry gun or you don't carry gun. You don't talk like a terrorist, you don't act like a terrorist. When you say power, there'll be baboon and blood. You're talking like a terrorist, for God's sake. When you talk about election being about life and death, election is not about life and death or do or die. Election is a ritual of democracy where people go to express themselves and their will prevail. Subvert it, you're a terrorist. It's as simple as that. APC, PDP should go back to Canadian court, a higher court, and prove we are not a terrorist, we have not subverted democracy. Or go in-house and begin to readdress. And when people say that the president is going up and down, let me tell you, just about a month ago, America declared a sitting president of a country, Venezuela, wanted. And they say that he's a terrorist and also a drug dealer. And they put him wanted and put a bounty on his head. And if whatever you are doing has in any way impacted on American citizens, one day they will come after you, whether in power or out of power. So don't tell me that there are people that are bigger and mightier than you.
Right,
if I were the government of Nigeria, I'll begin to readdress electoral reforms, begin to make things better, to ease the tension, so that more countries will not begin to toe the line of
All right then. All right then. Thank you. Thank you very much, Barrister Clem Agui. Now let's go back to Abuja, where we have Edwin Adai on standby. Let's have you unreach your microphone so we can hear you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course we can. Now,
okay, that's fine.
In our bid to look for a solution out of this, what arguments do you think can be put forward? Your opinion on this. What arguments can be put forward to ensure that the judgment is vacated, the judgment by the Canadian court is vacated?
Well, first of all, good morning, Nigerians. I would like to start by saying that it is unfortunate that the Canadian court and some of the persons or Nigerians at large are branding an entire political party as a terrorist organization. That is unacceptable. That's an erroneous statement. Every political party in Nigeria is run by a constitution, is run by an ideology, is run by a philosophy, is run by the manifesto of that particular political party, be it APC or PDP. There is never in any political party in Nigeria that the constitution of that political party says that we are equipping people to embark on terrorist activities. It has never been captured in the code of conduct of any political party. It has never been captured in the constitution of any political party. It has never been captured in any ideological underpinning of any political party. So for Nigerians to begin to think that that statement should be acceptable, of course, that statement is unacceptable. It is appalling and very heartbreaking.
Oh, yes, of course.
To a senior advocate of Nigeria.
Yes, of course.
To come out publicly to tell Nigerians
Edwin, please hold on. Let's look at the definition of terrorism, the Oxford definition of terrorism. And let's hinge our argument on that. Let's not attack individuals. Thank you very much. Now, going by the definition of terrorism, use of violence, threats, or intimidation, especially against civilians for political, religious, or ideological purposes. Now, that can be found in any dictionary, all right, as a definition of terrorism. If you go by this and your experience in elections in Nigeria in the past, where words have been spoken, I do believe you've been following the program, so I don't want to repeat all the things that have been said, where words have been spoken. Don't you think it's looking like the political class are exhibiting acts of terrorism by threatening people not to vote, by saying blood will flow, by saying it's a do or die affair? Doesn't that come across as terrorist activities?
Well, I disagree with all due respect, and the reason is simple. A political party is a combination of a lot of things. You cannot use the opinion of one person in a political party to make a blanket statement of branding that political party as a terrorist organization. Even if the statement is made by the president of Nigeria, we have good people in PDP, we have intellectuals in APC, we have technocrats in all the political parties in Nigeria, we have diplomats. So if one person in a political party decides to make a statement, okay, that for instance, let me use the one you use, maybe let me take the statement of the president, the former president, which he stated flow and all of that. That is not a statement from a political party. It's an opinion of one man. If you say snatch and grab, it's an opinion of one man.
So can the opinion?
You cannot use an opinion of one man.
Can the opinion
to generalize and make a blanket statement? 1 minute. You cannot use opinion of one man and make a blanket statement of branding an entire political party as a terrorist organization. Is wrong. It's very wrong. Very wrong.
Okay. Should the opinion of one man, the flag bearer of the party, be dissociated from the modus operandi of that party?
You can say the statement made by Bola Ahmed Tinubu or the statement made by, you have to narrow it down to the person who made that statement.
Okay.
You cannot generalize that statement.
All right,
as a statement of the political party is absolutely unacceptable.
Beautiful. Mr. Adai, when a sitting governor says that, look, international observers that are coming to observe elections in Nigeria, that if they are not careful, they will go back in body bags. Isn't that a terrorist statement?
Well, you see, as far as I'm concerned, a member of a political party can make a terrorist statement.
Okay.
But you cannot use the statement of one man to brand a noble institution or brand a country as a terrorist organization.
Beautiful.
Or brand a political party as a terrorist organization. It's absolutely unacceptable.
Unacceptable to you. Beautiful. Now, Hamas, everybody in Hamas is not a killer. Hamas does a lot of social works in Gaza, in parts of the Palestine. Yet, what does Hamas represent to you?
Mr. Ennis, are you a terrorist? Let me ask you, are you a terrorist?
No, please answer my question. Hamas.
Okay, but
what do you think of Hamas? What does Hamas represent to you?
You cannot. Hamas is not APC.
But are you aware that Hamas is a political party? Are you aware that Hamas is a political party?
Well, if they have a political party,
No. It's not that they have.
party,
Hamas itself is a political party, just like Fatah.
Okay,
Are you aware?
That is Hamas. That is not APC or PDP.
Okay.
These are two different organizations.
All right then.
We have two different modus operandi. We
Okay,
have two different
all right then.
modes of
Thank you
operations.
very much, Mr. Adai. Thank you very much. Please, I encourage you to stay with us as we get into the next topic of discussion, which is about politics anyway and political parties. And talking about 2027 power game, together stronger. Atiku Obi Amechi plot new alliance without ticket as APC mocks opposition. Join us again briefly.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Welcome back. Now, in a dramatic twist ahead of the 2027 elections, the African Democratic Congress has revealed that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ex-Anambra Governor Peter Obi, and former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi are working to build a political front, even without a joint presidential ticket, even without, according to the ADC, the trial believe their strength lies in forging a common platform that will challenge the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, on issues of governance, corruption, and economic hardship. Political analysts say this unusual pact, if sustained, could reshape Nigeria's political landscape by rallying opposition forces under one voice. But the APC is already dismissing the move as a strategy without direction. While reacting to ADC's announcement, an APC chieftain argued that the opposition lacks a credible blueprint for governance and pointed to the ruling party's recent by-election victories as proof of President Bola Tinubu's growing influence. Well, he added that while Atiku Obi and Amechi are struggling to remain relevant, Tinubu's APC is consolidating power nationwide, leaving many to wonder if this emerging alliance is a genuine threat or just another political distraction. Oh, well, we still have in the studio here Mr. Amobi Iheboro. We had to excuse Prince Chilaka because he had something else to do. And virtually, Barrister Clems Agui and Mr. Adai, Edwin Adai. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us. Now, Mr. Adai, let me stay with you. In all of this, if you look at what happened, you know, what transpired last Saturday during the by-election across 12, 13 states of the Federation, actually there were 14, 2 were stalled in Enugu and Jigawa. In what you observe, do you see the ADC, you know, they said that the taste of the pudding is in the eating. Do you see the ADC putting up some kind of formidable fight against the APC in 2027 if you rely on what happened just last Saturday? What's your reaction? What do you expect?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that questions. I would like to address this question this way.
Okay.
Number one, the ADC is an opposition party. And I am an opposition leader. And therefore, I would like to speak from the opposition perspective. Be it Labour Party, be it the People's Democratic Party, be it the ADC and all of that. until and unless we come together. You see, the APC, whether you like it or not, they are the ruling party today. And there is no one opposition political party that can do the job now. I am opportune as a member of the People's Democratic Party to have served in up to 3 presidential campaigns. It is not just about making a statement or trying to say, oh, let's criticize the government. The science of an opposition political party is to ensuring that at the end of the day, you should be able to map out the strategy to winning election.
Oh, okay.
So
sorry,
Mr.
Adai. I had to butt in at this moment because we are practically out of time. My question directly is: the opposition parties, do they put off, some kind of good performance in the last elections to determine what might happen in 2027?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
These are the part of the point I'm trying to drive through, because a system that is divided among itself will not be able to stand. As I speak to you now, the opposition political party in Nigeria are disintegrated. And there is no, because let me tell you, I am a member of the People's Democratic Party. Half of the people that moved from Labour Party, the half of the people that moved to Labour Party in 2023 are members of the PDP. Half of the people that constitute the ESCO of the ADC are members of the People's Democratic Party. What it means is that it is the PDP that confronted the APC in 2019 that is now fragmented into 3 different political parties. So my point is, if in 2019 we are all together and we are still finding it very difficult to win the ruling party,
all right then,
I think now we are even more weaker.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Adai, for your comments there. Let's quickly take Barrister Clem Agui. Barrister Clem, a quick reaction. Barely 6 months, but barely three months, about 3 to 4 months of the coalition pitching their tent with the ADC. Do you think the by-elections is a good yardstick to judge the viability of the ADC as we prepare for 2027?
Let me begin first by empathizing with my brother, Dr. Adai, Mr. Adai in the studio. He's a member of PDP, and I can understand why he's actually vehemently protesting against being labeled a terrorist when he's a good man. So I can understand that perspective. Then, having said that, right now the so-called coalition ADC is quite in a formation stage. You cannot use this election to actually measure their performance because they're still trying to come together to form. And they're having a very unusual coalition because it's not even a coalition of political parties, but a coalition of individuals. And some of these individuals have their own personal ambition, and also they're not even carrying their party along into the coalition. So we've not seen this kind of coalition before in the sense of politics anywhere in the world. It's like forming entirely new political party. And this played out in Anambra State, where the former Labour Party presidential candidate, who had a lot of national influence actually, were not able to deliver a candidate in the ADC or Labour Party. And he was very confused because even the people of the state didn't know the party he belongs to. One day he's campaigning for Labour Party for gubernatorial election. In the by-election, he was campaigning for
All right, and unfortunately, I think we are out of time, and the network has also timed us out. But we must say a very big thank you to Mazi Amobi. We would like for you to stay with us into newspaper review, and we'll talk about this, during newspaper review. To our outstation guest, Barrister Clem Agui, a lawyer, a columnist, a writer, a public affairs commentator, a fellow of the Abuja School of Socio-Economic Thoughts, and chairman emeritus in Jikoka local government area. Thank you very much for your time on the program. And also to Adai Edwin Adai, CEO, African Institute for Statecraft International, AISI. Thank you very much for being on the program with us as well. Well, that's it on VOP this morning. We'll take a little breather now. At 9 o'clock, we will be back here with news. 10 o'clock, I beg your pardon. At 10 o'clock, we'll be back here with newspaper review, and we'll like Mazi Amobi Iheboro to stay with us as we get into newspaper review. On behalf of my colleagues, Chukuma Okoro, Fina Okechukwu, the backroom staff, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful morning. Join us again at 10.